all things considered, it's been pretty quiet on the future of Spider-Man, whether it's from Marvel Studios and Disney and or Sony and what they're planning. But recently, Andrew Garfield, the Amazing Spider-Man himself, talked a little bit about the potential of returning, and he says that the Amazing Spider-Man 3 is more or less on the table, but it's down to the powers that be. By the end of this year, when Kraven comes out, if Andrew Garfield doesn't appear in that film as Spider-Man, that officially makes it 6 projects that insiders and scoopers reported on him returning as the Amazing Spider-Man in that universe, and he never has. If you're trying to keep count of what I'm talking about, Venom 1, 2, and 3, then there's Kraven, there's obviously Morbius, and there's Madam Web. Total of 6 projects that he hasn't appeared in, but at some point, scoopers were hinting at the fact that he was going to be appearing as that universe's Spider-Man. Obviously, the jury is still out on Kraven and what happens with Venom when it's finally out, so we'll see. Either way, though, Andrew Garfield was recently talking about what's going on with his return, if there's something going on, and whether or not there's ever been discussions on him returning as the Amazing Spider-Man. So when they asked him if there's any will, or does he want to, and is there stories to tell, he said, and I quote, "I think it's kind of endless, what we can do with that character. Not that we should, not that we will, but you can always find another story to tell. So yeah." End quote. And that's him replying to whether or not he could see himself back and making more of the Amazing Spider-Man. And obviously, right there, it's the first time in a long time that he said, yes, I'll do it. And he's teasing the Amazing Spider-Man 3 if they can figure out the story. And remember, we heard that this is exactly what Sony's trying to do. Figure out a story and then try to make it possible. And Sony needs their own Spider-Man that Marvel doesn't have a hand in with money or anything. But every year we get a little further away from it, it becomes a little bit more problematic. So if anything was to happen, I would say in the next 5 years it has to, or you run into some major problems. And who knows, again, maybe he appears in the upcoming Venom 3, and then it sets something up. Or maybe Kraven at the end sees Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and there's our Amazing Spider-Man 3. So I guess we'll wait for both of those projects and see if maybe there's something that materializes. But at least he's willing to come back, which means the ball is in Sony's court.